What if I told you that the price you pay for a phone, a car, or even groceries could skyrocket without you even realizing it? In today's video here on WealthSprint, we're breaking down tariffs, what they are, who actually pays for them, and how they affect your wallet and investments. I've spent years studying financial trends and simplifying complex topics, so you're in the right place. You've probably heard politicians talk about tariffs like they're some kind of magic weapon to protect local jobs or punish other countries. But have you ever stopped to ask, what exactly is a tariff, and why should I care? Maybe you've noticed certain products getting more expensive. A phone that used to cost $700 now goes for $850. You work hard, save what you can, and try to make smart choices, only to watch your buying power shrink. That's not just inflation or supply chain issues. In many cases, it's the hidden cost of tariffs quietly passed down to you. And if you're an investor, tariffs can hit your portfolio too, especially if you're holding companies that rely on international trade. Let's unpack what's really going on. In this video, we'll break it all down step by step. We'll start by understanding what tariffs are and how they work in real life. Then we'll reveal who actually pays for them, explore their impact on the U.S. economy, and look at real-world cases like the U.S.-China trade war. Finally, we'll show how tariffs affect you as a consumer and an investor. And if you find value in learning how global forces affect your daily financial life, take a second to subscribe, like the video, and share it with someone else who cares about making smarter money moves. Let's get into it. What are tariffs and why do they exist? Let's start with the basics. A tariff is a tax placed on goods that are imported from another country. When a product crosses a border into the U.S., the government can charge a fee, a tariff, on that item. But why do countries use tariffs in the first place? First, to protect local industries. If imported goods are too cheap, they can undercut domestic businesses. Tariffs level the playing field by making foreign products more expensive, encouraging consumers to buy local. Second, to generate government revenue. Especially in developing economies, tariffs are a major source of income. Third, as a political and economic tool. Governments use tariffs to pressure other countries during trade negotiations, basically saying, play fair or we'll raise prices on your exports. It sounds strategic, but here's the catch. Tariffs rarely exist in a vacuum. They often trigger a chain reaction, affecting businesses, consumers, and even global relations. So tariffs aren't just taxes on goods. They're tools that can reshape entire economies. How do tariffs work in practice? So how does a tariff actually affect the price of something you buy? Let's say a U.S. retailer imports electric scooters from China. Each scooter costs $400. Now, the U.S. government imposes a 25% tariff on imported scooters. That adds an extra $100 to each unit. The new import cost? $500. But the story doesn't end there. The importer still needs to make a profit. So they sell the scooter to a U.S. retailer for, say, $600. The retailer adds their own markup and lists it at $700 in store. Before the tariff, that scooter might have cost you $600. Now, $700 or more, just because of that import tax. This is where it hits home. Even though the tariff is charged to the importer, the cost trickles down through the supply chain until it lands directly on your receipt. In many cases, companies don't absorb the cost. They pass it to you. So next time you notice prices creeping up on foreign-made goods, it may not be inflation or production costs. It could be the silent effect of tariffs in action. Who really pays for tariffs? One of the biggest myths in global trade is this: foreign countries pay the tariffs. But that's simply not how it works. When the U.S. imposes a tariff on, say, goods from China, the Chinese government doesn't send a check to Washington. Instead, U.S. importers, American companies, are the ones who pay the tariff when the goods enter the country. Those businesses have only a few options: eat the cost, which shrinks their profit margins, raise prices, which hits you, the consumer, or cut corners, which might lower product quality. Most choose the second option. Why? because it's the only way to stay in business. So who really pays for tariffs? You do. Consumers absorb the extra cost in the form of higher prices, and that's true for everything from electronics to groceries to auto parts. It's a hidden tax, one that doesn't show up on your receipt, but chips away at your wallet all the same. So next time a politician says, "We're making other countries pay," remember, tariffs sound tough, but you're the one footing the bill. Impact on the U.S. economy. Tariffs don't just affect prices, they ripple through the entire U.S. economy. Let's start with inflation. When tariffs raise the cost of imported goods, businesses often pass those costs to consumers. That means higher prices at the store, not just for imported items, but also for U.S.-made products that use foreign components. Take the auto industry. If tariffs are imposed on foreign steel or electronics, American car manufacturers pay more to build vehicles, regardless of where the cars are assembled. You pay more for a new car. Then there's retaliation. Other countries don't just sit back, they strike back. For example, when the U.S. imposed tariffs on Chinese goods, China retaliated with tariffs on American exports like soybeans, pork, and whiskey. That hurt U.S. farmers and businesses, triggering job losses and uncertainty in rural communities. And while some domestic industries like steel or textiles may benefit in the short term from reduced competition, others suffer. Manufacturers relying on foreign parts face higher production costs, forcing layoffs or even shutdowns. In fact, studies have shown that while tariffs might save a few thousand jobs in one sector, they can destroy tens of thousands in others. So, while tariffs are often marketed as a way to protect American jobs, they can actually backfire, hurting the very people they're supposed to help. Tariffs don't operate in a vacuum. They shape economies, shift markets, and most importantly, impact your financial life, often in ways that aren't immediately visible. Real-world case study, U.S.-China trade war. Let's take a look at one of the most high-profile tariff battles in recent history, the U.S.-China trade war. It began in 2018 when the U.S. imposed tariffs on hundreds of billions of dollars in Chinese goods. China quickly retaliated. What followed was a tit-for-tat escalation that disrupted global supply chains and rattled markets. American tech companies like Apple were directly affected. Many of their products, like iPhones, depend on Chinese manufacturing. Tariffs meant higher costs, which put pressure on Apple's pricing and profit margins. Then there's Tesla, which exported cars to China. After Chinese retaliatory tariffs kicked in, Tesla had to cut prices and even open a factory in Shanghai to avoid penalties, costing billions in the process. Meanwhile, American farmers were hit hard. China stopped buying key agricultural exports, especially soybeans. Prices plummeted. Many farms struggled to survive. The U.S. government stepped in with billions in subsidies, essentially a taxpayer-funded bailout to offset damage from its own policy. The trade war was supposed to strengthen the U.S. economy. Instead, it brought economic pain to consumers, companies, and workers alike, without solving the underlying trade imbalances. This real-world case shows just how complex and risky tariff battles can be in today's interconnected economy. Tariffs as political tools. Tariffs aren't just economic tools. They're also powerful weapons in the world of politics. Governments often use tariffs to gain leverage in international negotiations. By raising import taxes, they can pressure other countries to change trade practices, adjust regulations, or open up specific industries. It's a tactic of play by our rules or pay the price. For example, a country might impose tariffs on steel and aluminum to protect its national security, arguing that domestic production is vital in times of crisis. Whether that's a genuine concern or a political excuse, the impact is the same: higher prices and shifting trade alliances. Tariffs can also be used to appeal to domestic voters. Leaders may introduce tariffs to appear tough on foreign competition, especially during election cycles. It's a message that resonates. We're protecting our jobs and industries from unfair foreign practices, but this strategy is risky. Other countries don't just sit back, they retaliate. This can spiral into full-blown trade wars, disrupting economies on both sides. In the end, tariffs are more than numbers on a spreadsheet. They're strategic moves in a global chess game, driven by economics, power, and public perception. What tariffs mean for you, investor and consumer? Now let's bring it home, literally. What do tariffs mean for you, the everyday consumer or investor? First, let's talk about your wallet. When tariffs are imposed on imported goods, businesses face higher costs. And those costs usually get passed down to consumers. That new phone, laptop, or appliance. It might cost 10 to 25% more, not because the product changed, but because of tariffs behind the scenes. Even everyday items like clothes, groceries, or furniture can become more expensive if their supply chains include foreign parts or materials. Over time, this contributes to inflation, making your paycheck feel smaller. Now, what about investors? Tariffs can shake the stock market. Companies that rely on global trade, like automakers, tech giants, and retailers, often suffer when trade tensions rise. Their costs go up, profits go down, and investor confidence can tumble. If you own ETFs or retirement funds tied to global markets, you might feel the ripple effects. On the flip side, certain sectors benefit. Domestic manufacturers or industries shielded from foreign competition might see a temporary boost. But timing and policy changes can be unpredictable, making it risky to bet solely on tariff-driven gains. For long-term investors, the key is diversification and awareness. Understand which industries are most exposed to global trade and adjust accordingly, not based on fear, but strategy. And finally, tariffs affect how you plan financially. When prices rise, budgeting becomes tighter. Being proactive, tracking expenses, anticipating higher costs, and investing smart can help you stay ahead. So whether you're shopping, saving, or investing, tariffs aren't just a government issue. They shape your everyday financial decisions more than you might think. So next time you hear about a new tariff or a trade war in the news, don't just scroll past it. These policies may seem distant, but they have a direct impact on your everyday life, your investments, and your future financial security. Understanding how tariffs work gives you an edge, not just as a smarter consumer, but as a more strategic investor. It helps you navigate inflation, market shifts, and even political decisions that could affect your financial plans. Now it's your turn. If this video helped clarify how tariffs really work, hit that like button, subscribe for more deep dives into financial topics, and share this with a friend who still thinks other countries pay the tariffs. And let me know in the comments. Have you ever noticed price increases you think were caused by tariffs? Or have you made any investment decisions based on trade policy? Remember, financial knowledge is financial power. And by staying informed, you're already ahead of the game. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.